Hi everybody, Wendy from Cinnamon Sweet Shop. Today's video I'm going to be making more of a tutorial on how to make this mandala cookie. This was one of the easiest and quickest cookies I've decorated, and you can do it too without any kind of expensive supplies. There are no pastry bags or pastry tips needed to make this. What I am using for the main tools to make this are these rounded dotting tools. So all of them have different sizes. This is really very tiny and it goes all the way up to the largest one. This 10-piece kit alone cost less than $9 for all of these, and this is mostly what I'm using. So it's a really good price if you're going to get started in doing some cookie decorating. I'm also using a dowel. This is about 1/4 of an inch thick. You can buy this in any craft or hobby store. Very inexpensive. I may have got several of these for under $1. And I'm also using my stylus. This is a very sharp point on here. I bought this as part of, I think it was something like a clay decorating kit in one of the craft stores. Now, you don't even need to have this. You can use a toothpick instead. I also have my icings pre-made. I have them in different colors. Now to do this, you want to make sure your icing is of paint consistency. This is about a 2-second icing, which means if you put a knife through it, it takes 2 to 3 seconds before this comes back together. The colors I'm using are AmeriColor gel paste. These are the electric collection, so it's electric purple, electric green, electric orange, electric yellow, and electric blue. I also have some white that I thinned out as well. Keep them covered so they don't dry out. And also, when you make these, you want to make these several hours or even a day before and let them sit, because air bubbles will form when you thin them out. So I kind of bang them on the table and then I use my stylus and poke out some of the air bubbles. So to get started, I used a 4-inch round cookie cutter. Obviously you can use any shape and size you want. And yesterday I'd flooded this with black icing. I like to use black. You'll find a lot of the other tutorials for rock painting using the same method. They use black as well. And the reason is, for at least in my opinion, is it makes the colors on top stand out a little bit more. For some of the seasonal decorating for Valentine's Day, you could use red or pink underneath and decorate on top as well. But for this, we're going to use black. I also measured out the center of this cookie, and with my stylus, I put a little bit of a mark in there. You can eyeball it. The one nice thing about making these are, if it's not perfect, it still looks really nice. I can't even begin to tell you how many mistakes I made in this one. And one other thing you'll need is a damp towel, because you're going to want to periodically wipe down your tools so that it doesn't get crusty on there. Okay, so I'm going to start with the green and my dowel, and I'm taking the dowel rod and I'm straight up and down. I'm not holding this on an angle. I want to dip it into the icing, or as the paint, and make sure the entire bottom is covered with some icing. From there, hold it right to the center and push it straight down and then come right up. So you'll see too that if it's thin enough, it'll flatten on its own. It may be a little bit of a bump. It's not totally perfect circle. That's not a problem. You just go back and redo it again. So from here, because I don't really like this one that much, just going to do it again. It's a little thicker as well, which is fine. That's a little bit better. And if you do have any of these that have some icing sticking up, that's when you can go in and just flatten it out. Okay? Wipe this off so that it doesn't dry on there. So now I'm using a smaller type of round ball, and you could pick any size you want. And I'm going to, again, dip this ball straight up and down into here. So that's pretty well covered, like that. We're going to make a cross. So I'm going to take this and bring it to the top. Try to keep this as close to your original circle as you can. Dip it again, even though you still have some icing on here. You want to make sure you totally refill this in order to get an even circle. Take that, go straight down, and again try to get it as close to the circle as you can. Come up, and from here I'm going to take it to the other side. And again, I don't like that one, so I'm going to redo that one. And then take it to the other side. This from here, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to put another one in between each side. Using a smaller one, looks like it's about one size smaller of the rounded tips, I'm going to use some white and just fill in next to the green. Can you see I'm redipping? I'm going to be using the blue next, and I will be using something a little bit larger, rounder ball. Dip that in, and I want to place this on top of the white, or above the white, not so much on top of it. Go around. Make sure your tool is directly upright, not on an angle. I'm using a bigger rounded tip, using the purple, and I want to place this above the blue, but also in between. So it's going to go right here. Next, take a slightly bigger tip with the orange and then place it above but in between those two purples. And I'm going to go back with one of the really smaller tips and fill in between the two blues. You see there's not a lot of space, but enough, and I'm using white. And with another round, smaller round tip, I'm going to use the green, take it in between the two purples. Again, I took a little bit larger size of the ball tip, and I'm going to use the blue. And for that one, we're going to put this in between the two orange, above the purple. And we're going to use one of the larger ball tips with some yellow. And this one I'm going to place above the two blue dots. Now for this next step, we're going to do something called walking the dots. So I do have one of the smaller ball tips. I'm going to use some white, and in this one we're going to dot the very top. Now we're not going to refill this, because as we bring it down, you'll notice it gets lighter and lighter in color, in size rather, for that. We're going to refill it again. Start at this very same dot, and then bring it. Try and get the same number of dots around each side, and we just walk to that dot. And there you go, so far. I want to add one last detail to this, and I will be taking one of the smaller tips, round tube tips, using some yellow, and in between or right above the orange, we're going to do some walking the dots again, this time in a straight line. So I have this filled with yellow. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There you're finished with the mandala cookie. If you would like to purchase these tools, I do have it linked below in the description box where you can get them. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel for much more coming up, and I'll see you all next time.